3 years ago, I stood at the edge of a driveway I paved with my own hands. Asphalt cracked from the seasons, much like the heart that beat behind my ribcage. I was holding a photo, her graduation day. The smile on her face wide, bright, ungrateful. I'd bought the cap. I'd paid for the robe. I'd sat through the ceremonies in that stiff auditorium chair surrounded by families who didn't even know what sacrifice smelled like. I knew. I wore it like aftershave. She wasn't my blood, not technically. Her mother came into my life when I was 27, widowed, broken, and dragging a 6-year-old little girl behind her who had trust issues and eyes too tired for her age. I stepped in, not because I had to, because I wanted to, because I was raised to believe that a real man doesn't run when someone needs saving. I was there through every math test, flu season, late-night cry session over boys and breakups and drama I never pretended to understand, but I was there. I showed up. Always. And when she turned 18, she called me Dad. Not Rick. Not stepdad. Dad. You think you felt something before? Try hearing that from someone you tucked into bed for over a decade, who once said they'd never trust another man again. And then she left for college. I remember the last night, helped her move into that dorm. Paid the deposit myself. Bought her a used Toyota so she didn't have to take the bus across town. I gave her everything. And then I got silence. Weeks passed. Then months. I reached out. Texts. Emails. Nothing. Her mother brushed it off. She's just finding herself. Finding herself? Huh? That must be code for forgetting who made her life possible. But it wasn't until that damn letter arrived that I finally understood. Handwritten. Folded neatly like it was supposed to be respectful. I opened it in the garage, grease still on my hands. Read every word twice. You were a guardian, not a father. You're not my dad anymore. My mom's new wife is my present dad. We're a family now. I hope you understand. I stared at the ink bleeding into the paper where my thumb pressed too hard. Not my dad anymore. Like that title was a lease she could cancel when it got inconvenient. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of silence. 3 years of birthdays I didn't get to celebrate. Of photos I saw posted online that I wasn't in. Of watching a girl I raised erase me like a typo. Until yesterday. It was a rainy Thursday. I remember because the porch light flickered against the downpour and I almost didn't hear the knock. But there she was. Same eyes. Same chin. Older. Softer. What hair clinging to her cheeks. And behind her? A suitcase. I didn't speak. She stammered. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't move. I messed up. I needed to see you. Please. And just when I was about to open my mouth, just when the weight of every betrayal clawed at my tongue like it wanted to speak, someone else appeared beside me. Is everything okay, babe? She asked. The girl's eyes widened. Because standing there in the doorway, barefoot and wearing my shirt, was her mother. My ex-wife. The one who left me 2 years after the girl did, thinking she could trade up for greener pastures. Only to find out that karma has the memory of a pit viper. We said nothing. Her mouth opened. Closed. She looked at her mom, then at me, then at her bag. Like suddenly the weight of all her bridges burned finally caught up. I spoke first. I buried the man you knew 3 years ago. You didn't come to the funeral. Her lips trembled. I didn't mean to. You did. And now you're standing in front of 2 people you left behind, asking for warmth you pissed on. The silence was suffocating. Her mom stepped forward, laying a hand on my shoulder. She made her choice. We made ours. Then I closed the door. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt peace. You ever hear someone cry through a door? Not sob, not wail cry. That quiet, choked sort of sound where the air itself feels guilty for listening. That's what I heard as I stood in the kitchen, pouring myself a glass of water with hands that weren't quite steady. Her voice was muffled. Words half-formed between sniffles and regret. But the thing is, when someone breaks you the way she did, their regret sounds like static. She's still out there, her mother said quietly. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, not in worry, but in mourning. I know, I replied, staring out the window, watching the rain paint streaks on the glass. She didn't just leave us. She rewrote the whole damn story. Erased you. Erased me. And that's the part that got me. It wasn't just about me. I could have swallowed the betrayal like a bitter pill and moved on. But she did it to both of us, cut ties with the woman who raised her, the one who spent sleepless nights by her side when asthma used to choke her lungs into panic. She didn't just abandon a father. She abandoned a mother, too. But now she was back. Standing outside like a stray who chewed through the leash and found out the world doesn't feed the ungrateful. She's got nowhere else to go, her mother added, more to herself than me. I took a long sip of water. She's not a stray cat. She's a grown woman who cashed out on love and now wants credit for walking back. The knock came again. Lighter this time. Like she was hoping we'd forgotten everything. We hadn't. Maybe we should at least hear her out, her mom said, guilt creeping in like fog. That's the thing about mothers. They'll forgive the devil if he shows up with enough bruises. I sighed. Set the glass down. Walked back to the door. She was still there, soaked through, hugging herself. Please, she whispered. I didn't come for money. I didn't come to beg. I came because I don't know who else I am without you. I opened the door, just a crack. I know exactly who I am without you, I said. She blinked. I'm the man you pretended never existed. The one you called Dad until something shinier came along. You rewrote the past like it was fiction. Like the scraped knees I patched and the nightmares I chased away were scenes in a book you could edit at will. I was confused, she said, her voice cracking. No, I replied, you were selfish. Don't confuse the two. She reached into her bag, pulled out a letter folded, trembling in her hand. Please just read this. When you're ready. I don't expect anything else. I didn't take it. But her mother did. Because her heart was softer than mine, even now. We watched her walk down the driveway. She turned back once, maybe hoping for some look, some gesture, a miracle. All she got was the sound of a door clicking shut behind her. Later that night, I found her mother in the living room, staring at the letter. You gonna open it? I asked. I already did. And she's broken. I sat across from her, arms on my knees. That makes two of us. She left her partner, the one she called her present dad. Apparently, he put his hands on her. I leaned back. There it was, the crack in the wall. A sliver of sympathy trying to sneak through. I slammed it shut with a breath and a bitter laugh. Now she wants the man she disowned to be her safe place. She was a child, her mom murmured. She was 22. She nodded slowly. Yeah, she was. We sat in silence, the kind that lives in the cracks between anger and mourning. And then I said something I didn't expect to say. She needs help. Her mother turned to me, hopeful. But not from us. There's a ritual to dinner in our house now. Quiet music from the old record player. A bottle of red we open slowly, like we're stretching time on purpose. It's not fancy, it's earned. Two broken people who glued themselves back together with silence, respect, and the kind of understanding you only get after being humiliated by someone you trusted. That night, we made pasta. Simple. Her favorite. Used to be mine too, until I watched her shovel it in like she hadn't just ripped my name off her life like a cheap sticker. She wasn't here, but the air felt like she was. I keep thinking about that time she set the stove on fire, her mother said, half smiling. You ran in like a Navy SEAL. Oven mitts and all. Yeah, I muttered. Still got the scar. She traced her finger around the rim of her wine glass. Do you think it's possible to miss someone and still want nothing to do with them? I nodded. Every single day. The letter she'd left was on the counter. Folded. Unread. Want me to read it? She asked. No, I said, pushing a meatball across the plate with my fork. I already know what it says. Guilt always starts with, I didn't mean to, and ends with, please take me back. We ate in silence for a bit. A better silence than the one we'd lived in for 3 years. This one had peace. The old one was a minefield. Then she said, I think she was hoping you'd open the door and say welcome home. I chewed slowly. Swallowed. The day she left, she said I wasn't her father anymore. She didn't whisper it. She wrote it. And she signed it with pride. She nodded. There's no home when you burn the blueprints, I added. After dinner, I stepped outside. The night was cool, crisp. The kind that makes you think more clearly than you want to. I lit a cigar, one I'd been saving. Not for a celebration, but for closure. And then headlights turned the corner. A car pulled up. Not hers. Different model. Darker tint. Still, I knew. The door opened. She stepped out slowly, like she thought this was a movie and maybe a second entrance would earn her a second chance. But this time, she wasn't alone. A young man, early 20s, followed behind. Thin. Pale. Nervous like a stray but hearing fireworks for the first time. I stayed on the porch, arms crossed, cigar untouched. Dad, she started. No. She blinked. Don't call me that. The guy behind her shifted awkwardly. She turned, whispered something. He nodded and stayed behind while she climbed the porch steps. I didn't come here to argue. I came to explain. 3 years too late. I made a mistake, she said, eyes glossy. I thought. I thought I'd found my real place. That woman, she said all the right things. Promised me a new start. Made me think everything before was just. Just what? I cut in. Fake? Temporary? A phase. I was angry, she said. So you torched the only people who ever gave a damn. Got it. Her voice broke. I was hurting. And now you're hurt. That's different. A pause. A long one. I'm not asking for everything back, she whispered. I just want to be allowed to exist again. Somewhere in your world. Even at the edge of it. I leaned on the porch railing, staring into the dark. I used to pray for you to knock on that door, I said. Then I stopped. Because I realized something. What? Not every prodigal daughter deserves a feast. Some just need to stay gone. Behind me, her mother opened the door. She's right. You know, she said to her daughter. You don't deserve everything back. But, she continued, we can talk. That's all we're offering. A bench on the porch. A conversation. That was the compromise. They sat. I didn't. I walked inside. Shut the door. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a villain for protecting my peace. I didn't sit with them. I stood inside, one hand on the curtain, watching through the living room window like a sentry. Not out of curiosity, out of survival. That girl outside? She wasn't just a daughter who left. She was a detonator, and I'd just spent 3 years cleaning up the rubble. The bench on the porch had always been a place for soft things. Morning coffee. Evening breeze. Laughter we didn't realize we'd miss until it was gone. And now, there she was, perched on it like it still belonged to her. Next to the woman who once gave her the world and got silence in return. Her mother kept her body language neutral. No hugging. No coddling. She was calm but distant, like someone holding a fragile vase they didn't plan to keep. I cracked the window slightly. Not to spy, just to hear if the ghost could still speak like a daughter. I thought she was going to change everything, my daughter said, her voice low, cautious. She made it sound like all the pain I carried was your fault. And you believed her, her mother replied. I wanted to believe someone. Anyone. The girl sniffled. I thought she saw me. Understood me. Told me family wasn't who raised you, but who accepted you. Her mother took a slow breath. That woman didn't see you. She saw a girl desperate for identity. And she fed off it. I know that now, my daughter whispered. Too late for it now. They sat in silence. I almost admired her nerve. Showing up with a suitcase, after severing bloodless ties like they were nothing more than worn-out shoelaces. After throwing words like knives, you're not my father anymore. That phrase had carved itself into the drywall of my memory. She wiped her eyes. I broke everything. Her mom stared at the dark sky. No, you broke you. We're just the ones who lived in the aftershock. You think you'll ever forgive me? Forgiveness is a luxury you no longer qualify for. And I'll admit, I smiled at that one. She stood. I'll go. I just needed to see your face one more time. Her mom stood too, but didn't reach out. You got more than most people who burn bridges ever get. That's when I stepped outside. I hadn't planned to. But watching that scene unfold, it lit something in me. A flicker of finality. She turned when she heard the door creak. Her eyes found mine, hopeful like a child waiting for permission to come inside after staying out past curfew. But I wasn't handing out permission slips anymore. You've got 10 minutes, I said. One question. Make it count. She hesitated. Then, why didn't you come find me? That was it. That was the question. I laughed. Not cruelly. Not coldly. Just the kind of laugh that comes when pain runs dry and leaves dust behind. I did, I said. Every time I saw your name in a group message. Every time I checked an empty mailbox. Every time I parked outside your campus dorm with care packages I never delivered because I couldn't stand the idea of being turned away by a stranger wearing my daughter's face. She gasped. Just slightly. I found you in every silence you left. And you know what I learned? She waited. That some people walk away because they're lost. But some walk away because they like watching things burn. She didn't respond. You burned a good man, and an even better woman, I said, nodding to her mother. You don't get to cry at the ashes now. A gust of wind swept across the porch. Her suitcase sat by the steps like an accusation. You want mercy? I added. Go to church. You want peace? Earn it. I turned and walked back inside. Didn't slam the door. Didn't lock it either. But I didn't look back. They say you can't unburn a bridge, but no one tells you what it's like to smell the smoke years later. It's in the walls. In the clothes. In the damn bones. And when she walked back into our lives, dragging that sorry suitcase behind her, the smoke came with her. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did her mother. She stayed up reading that letter again. Like maybe, on the second pass, it would say something different. Something honest. Something earned. It didn't. Just a carousel of regrets. I was wrong. I didn't know better. I thought I was finding myself. She used all the words cowards use when they want consequences without accountability. By morning, the suitcase was gone from the porch. But the letter remained. Where do you think she went? Her mother asked, holding her coffee with two hands like it might warm the part of her heart that still gave a damn. Where she goes doesn't matter, I said. Where we don't go back to, that's what matters. Her eyes met mine. She's still our girl. I shook my head. No, she was our girl. Then she rewrote her story and cast us as villains. She bit her lip. Maybe she didn't mean to. You don't accidentally disown someone. I walked over to the mantel, picked up an old photo, one of the three of us at the lake. She's mid-laugh in the picture, the kind of laugh that makes you believe nothing could ever go wrong. I flipped the photo over and slid it into the drawer. She earned that. Later that afternoon, I stopped by the diner on Main. One of those local places where everybody knows your name, but they know how to mind their business, too. I was halfway through my coffee when the bell above the door jingled. And there she was. Not the girl. Her. The woman who convinced my daughter to throw us away like packaging on a birthday gift she didn't like. The new mom. She was thinner than I remembered. Cold. Expensive. Like a mannequin that learned how to lie with a smile. She walked up to me without hesitation. Rick. I set my mug down. Didn't think someone like you came to diners. I don't, she said. But this isn't about coffee. No, I said, it's about nerve. Which you clearly have in surplus. She sat down across from me without asking. That told me everything I needed to know about her again. I didn't come to fight, she said. Good, I said, because you lost that war 3 years ago. She pursed her lips. She came back to you. No, I corrected. She came back to her doorstep. Not the same thing. A pause. She left me too, she admitted. Said I was controlling. Cold. You are. She thinks I ruined her life. You did. Her mask slipped, just for a second. A flicker of panic behind her eyes. I tried to help her see the world clearly, she said. Help her find her identity. No, I said slowly. You helped her destroy the one she already had. The one we spent 20 years building. You didn't free her. You fractured her. She blinked. You're angry. I'm recovered. There's a difference. She looked down at her hands. She's alone now. So let her learn what alone feels like. She sighed, got up, and smoothed her coat. You'll forgive her. You always were the soft one. I met her gaze, steady. The man you met 3 years ago died. You and your influence killed him. This version doesn't do forgiveness. He does boundaries. I watched her leave, heels clacking like a warning bell. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel powerless. I felt ready. 3 days passed. No texts. No calls. No midnight apologies scribbled on notebook paper or desperate voicemails soaked in regret. And I'll be honest with you, I thought she was gone for good this time. That maybe reality finally slapped her hard enough that she wouldn't come crawling back. But then again, some ghosts don't haunt you because they're angry. They haunt you because they need something. It was just after 6 p.m. on a Sunday. I was out back, tuning the mower engine, routine maintenance, my piece. That machine runs cleaner than most relationships I've had. And then I heard it. Knock, knock. Not the door this time. The fence gate. I wiped the grease from my hands, stood up, and walked over. And there she was. Same jacket. Same eyes. But something was different this time. She didn't have her suitcase. She didn't bring backup. No boyfriend. No fake mom in tow. Just her. She looked smaller somehow. I didn't want to come to the front, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Afraid the neighbors would see? No, she muttered. Afraid you wouldn't open it. She wasn't wrong. Why are you here? I asked. She glanced down, then back at me. Because I've been sitting in a motel room for 3 days wondering what kind of person I've become. Must be one hell of a mirror in that place. That one hit. Her lip trembled, but she held it together. I thought I was finding my own way, she said. But all I found was more versions of the same lie. I chased a fantasy. And when that fantasy hit me, literally, I realized I didn't have anyone left. That's not true, I said. You had someone left. You just left them first. She nodded. No excuses this time. No rewriting. I was wrong, she said. I told myself you were just playing father. That biology meant more than presence. That you didn't understand me. But you were the only one who stayed when everything fell apart. Even when I pushed you. I stayed silent. Let her stew in it. You always told me, she continued. Love isn't just about who shows up at your best. It's who stands there at your worst. I stared at her. And I want to earn my way back. Not through words. Through action. Time. Proof. That word proof, that one made my stomach twist. Because I'd built this whole damn house on proof. Proof I loved her. Proof I supported her. Proof I'd stay. Now she wanted to do the same? Your mother still wants to believe in you, I said. Me? I'm tired of being disappointed. She nodded. Then let me rebuild. Quietly. I'll take what you give. Even if it's nothing. I studied her. No makeup. No arrogance. No Instagram version of herself. Just broken. You got a place to stay tonight? I asked. She shook her head. Not unless I count the bus station bench. I sighed. Stepped aside. Opened the gate. You sleep in the guest room. No illusions. No pity. She blinked. You mean? You'll eat dinner with us. You'll clean up after. And tomorrow, you're helping me haul firewood. She smiled faintly. Wipe that look off your face, I said. This isn't a redemption arc. This is probation. And still, she nodded. Grateful for scraps. That night, she sat across from us at the dinner table. Her plate full. Her eyes quiet. Her mother passed the peas like nothing ever happened, but I saw the way her hands shook slightly. Hope does that to you. It betrays your spine when you're trying to be strong. I didn't say much, but I watched. Because even ghosts can knock. But not all of them deserve to come in. She woke up early. I'll give her that. No alarms. No nudges. Just the quiet shuffle of feet in the hallway and the sound of cupboard doors opening carefully, like she still wasn't sure if she belonged here. Good. She didn't. Not yet. I was already out back, chopping wood. She came out with 2 mugs, coffee in both. One black for me. The other with sugar and some sweet hazelnut nonsense for her. Peace offering, she asked, holding it out. I stared at it a second too long, then took it. You always said coffee's earned, she added. I said respect is earned, I corrected. Coffee's just warm bitterness. Like the rest of life. She gave a dry little laugh and set hers down. Then she grabbed a log off the pile and dropped it onto the block with a grunt. You ever split wood before? I asked. She shook her head. No. Closest I came was cracking my iPhone screen. I handed her the axe. Then today's the day you learn something real. She lifted it, awkwardly. Like someone handling a foreign object with rules she hadn't been taught. I guided her hands. Not gently, but not cruel either. Just enough to let her know. This takes strength. Not just in the arms. In the spine. She swung. Missed. Second swing, glanced off the side. I let her fail 3 times before I said a word. Swing through the wood, I said. Not at it. Through it. You want to break something, you don't hesitate. That landed harder than the axe did. By the 6th swing, the log finally split. Her hands were blistered by the 10th. She didn't quit. After 2 hours, she looked ready to collapse. I handed her a rag. Blisters mean you tried. Calluses mean you kept going. She nodded, panting. I want calluses. Good, I said. Because you've got 3 years of rot to clean off this family tree. She didn't argue. That's when I knew she was serious. Later that day, we drove out to the supply store. I needed nails and stain. She asked to come. I didn't say yes. I just didn't say no. In the truck, she stared out the window. I looked you up, you know. Online. After everything went to hell, I kept my eyes on the road. You don't post. No Facebook. No photos. Just silence. I shrugged. I don't decorate my pain. She was quiet a moment. I wanted to reach out. A few times. But I thought you'd slam the door in my face. You weren't wrong. Then why let me in now? I turned to her briefly. Because slamming the door only feels good if the person on the other side wants in. She didn't respond. At the store, she picked out a pack of garden gloves, bright blue, her old favorite color. I bought them without a word. That night, her mother caught me in the hallway. She's trying, she said, quietly. She should have started 3 years ago. Her voice softened. People break things sometimes. Doesn't mean they can't fix them. I sighed. This isn't about fixing. It's about building something new. But I'm not handing her the blueprints. In the living room, my daughter was curled on the couch, reading an old book she used to love. Her face relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in years. She didn't look like the girl who'd left. She looked like the woman who finally realized leaving was the easy part. Staying? That's where the consequences live. I never kept much from the old life, not because I'm a minimalist or some stoic romantic who doesn't cling to the past. I just learned the hard way that memories, when left unchecked, rot like fruit on the counter. And when she left, she didn't just take herself, she poisoned the good times, too. But some things survive in the bottom drawer. I found it while looking for an old extension cord, the photo album. Worn leather, dusty corners, pages that stuck just a little from years of humidity and heartbreak. It had been her mother's idea to make it. We need to capture this life, she used to say. One day she'll thank us for it. Right. That thank you came in the form of a handwritten letter telling me I wasn't her father anymore. But still, I held the album, flipped through a few pages. Her third-grade spelling bee, with that crooked smile missing a front tooth. Her standing on my boots at her first father-daughter dance. Me in a goofy cowboy hat, pretending to know how to two-step. Then I closed it. That night after dinner, we sat outside around the fire pit. Her mother brought out marshmallows. A silly tradition, but one we used to cherish. Even at 25, she still roasted hers like a kid, burnt to hell and smiling while it melted. After a few minutes, I went inside. Came back with the album. Set it on the table beside me. She noticed immediately. Her smile faded. I haven't seen that in years, she said, almost reverent. I didn't say anything. Just handed it to her. She opened it slowly, like it might bite. Like maybe she'd find a version of herself in there that she wouldn't recognize, or worse, one she did. This one, she said, pointing to a photo of the lake. Her arms around my neck, me throwing her into the water. That day was perfect. For you, maybe, I said. I threw my back out 5 minutes later. She laughed. Not loudly, but honestly. Her mom leaned over. You cried in the car because your sandwich got wet. She laughed harder. And then she didn't. The laughter faded. Her fingers stilled on the page. I don't deserve these, she whispered. No, I said. You don't. She looked up, expecting softness. Not tonight. But, I added, you're not the only one in them. So they're not yours to erase. A beat passed. Then she asked, can I keep it? I shook my head. No. You can earn it. That hit her in the gut, and I meant it to. Tomorrow, I continued, you're cleaning out the garage. She blinked. All of it. I nodded. Top to bottom. You'll find some old things in there that mattered once. You'll also find a lot of crap that doesn't. Your job is to figure out which is which. Her mother threw me a side glance, half proud, half worried. But she didn't speak. That night, after everyone went to bed, I stayed by the fire. Let the last marshmallow burn to a blackened crisp on a stick I never planned to eat. That album was still in my hands. I looked at it one last time, then slid it back into the drawer inside, not to hide it, but to protect it. Because ashes don't make good kindling. But sometimes, they're a warning. Don't let the flames touch this again. The garage was where I stored things too heavy for memory and too painful for the trash. Tools, camping gear, half-used cans of paint from projects she never helped with. And in the far corner, shoved behind a stack of old moving boxes and a busted vacuum cleaner, what I used to call her legacy pile. Science fair posters. Broken trophies. A shoebox full of crayon drawings labeled Daddy's Hero. You can imagine what it felt like digging through that after reading her letter telling me I was just a phase in her life. So yeah, when I told her to clean the garage, I wasn't just assigning chores. I was handing her the keys to her own wreckage. She started early. I watched from the kitchen window. No music, no complaints. Just her in old jeans and my spare work gloves, pulling out dusty bins and setting them in the driveway like she was exhuming a grave. Her mother joined her after an hour, handing her water, offering help. No, she said. This is mine to fix. Darn right it is. I stayed inside. Let her sweat. Let her sort through every forgotten promise and every burned bridge packed in cardboard. Around noon, I stepped outside. She was sitting cross-legged in front of the workbench, surrounded by trash bags and memories. Her face was streaked with dust and maybe tears, hard to tell. In her lap was a box labeled Dad, 2009 to 2015. She looked up at me, holding something out. It was a Father's Day card. Handmade. Crooked lettering. Finger-painted hearts. Inside, it said, You are my real dad because real dads don't leave. I didn't flinch. I just took it. Looked at it. Read it once. Then twice. Then I handed it back. She looked confused. You don't want it? She asked. No, I said. Because the guy you wrote that for? He's gone. Her throat bobbed, eyes wide. I buried him the day you said I wasn't your father. This card? It belongs to a ghost. She sat in silence. Didn't cry. Just held it like a burning coal. Then she stood, walked over to the fire pit, lit a match, and burned it. Didn't flinch. Didn't sob. She just watched it curl and blacken and turn to ash. When she turned back, I was still standing there. "No take axe," I said. "I'm not asking for one," she replied. And in that moment, for the first time since she came back, I didn't see the girl who left. I saw the woman who came back anyway. That night, the garage was clean. The trash was out. The shelves were organized. Even the old toolbox was wiped down and locked. She stood by the back door, eyes tired, face bare. "You want me to make a list for tomorrow?" she asked. I thought for a second, then nodded. "Good idea." And just like that, she started writing her way back in, not with flowers or tears, but sweat and silence and space. It's not forgiveness. It's not healing, but it's work. And for now, that's enough. They say blood is thicker than water. What they don't tell you is that betrayal's thicker than both. I didn't share DNA with her, but I shared everything else. Late-night fevers, scraped knees, birthday candles blown out in a kitchen I built with my bare hands. And yet, she tossed it all away like a receipt for a life she regretted buying. So no, I didn't need her blood. I needed her loyalty. And now, standing at the edge of the rebuilt garage, with her sorting through tool drawers and wiping grease on her jeans, I started to realize she was finally understanding the difference. That night, we had dinner like a regular family. Chicken, roasted vegetables, no fireworks. No tears. Until she asked the question, "Why didn't you and Mom ever try again?" Her mother froze mid-bite. I set down my fork. "We did," I said calmly. "You just didn't see it." She blinked. "When?" "Every time we stayed civil for your sake. Every time we smiled through parent-teacher nights and graduation and that god-awful musical in your sophomore year." Her mother smirked slightly. "Peter Pan was a war crime." I continued. "We tried. But love dies when respect does." "And your letter?" "It wasn't just a nail in my coffin. It was a bullet between our ribs." She looked down. "I didn't realize." "Of course you didn't," I said. "Because you weren't raised to watch for consequences. You were raised to believe someone would always be there to mop up the mess." Her mom chimed in, gently but firmly. "We shielded you so much, you forgot what cuts feel like." "And now?" she asked, voice small. "Now," I said, "you get to feel every damn one." She nodded. No argument. Just truth accepted like rain on an uncovered head. After dinner, we sat on the back porch. She brought out the box of old photos from the garage, the ones she hadn't burned. "Can I show you something?" she asked. I nodded. She held up a Polaroid, me holding her on my shoulders at a parade. Her hands in the air. That laugh that could once disarm me like a landmine with a smile. "I keep thinking about this day," she said. "You let me eat 2 snow cones and then carried me when I got sick." "Still have the shirt I threw out that night," I muttered. She smiled. Then it faded. "You were my safe place," she said. "Even when I made you my target." I didn't say anything. Because what do you say to that? She reached into her hoodie pocket, pulled something out. A chain. Small. Rusted. From a key I gave her when she was 12. "For emergencies," I'd said. "You always have a way back home." "I kept this," she said. "Even when I said you weren't my dad. Even when I changed my name online. Even when I told myself you'd never forgive me." She placed it on the table. "I don't expect you to believe me, but I never stopped carrying it." The porch light flickered in the wind. Her mother wiped a tear she didn't want us to see. I picked up the key, held it between 2 fingers. Then I placed it back in her palm. "You don't need that key anymore," I said. "Why?" "Because you're already inside. And this time, you earn your stay." She nodded, tears sliding silently down her face. And for the first time, I didn't see the liar who left. I saw the fighter who stayed. We weren't healed. We weren't whole. But we were finally on the same page. Most people think inheritance is a will, a bank account, some dusty furniture, and a few bad family secrets stuffed in a shoebox under the bed. But the real inheritance? That's in the lessons. The grit. The grit. That's what I fought to pass on. And for a long time, I thought she'd thrown it all away. But something changed. She started waking up earlier than me. Beat me to the coffee maker 2 days in a row. Started writing things down, groceries, supply lists, notes from calls she made to temp agencies. No asking. No begging. Just doing. Her mother noticed first. She cleaned the gutters, she said one evening, almost in disbelief. She what? On her own. No fuss. No post about it. Just did it. I looked out the window, half expecting to see pigs flying in formation. But there was just the house. Our house. And for once, it didn't feel like she was just staying here. It felt like she was investing. That night, I called her into the living room. She looked nervous, like maybe the good streak had finally run out and I was going to cash in on all that buried rage. Instead, I handed her an envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." Inside, a copy of my will. Updated. Signed. Her name was back in it. But this time, not just as a daughter, as the executor. She looked at me, stunned. "You're trusting me with this?" "No," I said. "I'm testing you with it." "Why?" "Because someday, I won't be here. And someone will need to know the difference between fixing things and throwing them away." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't deserve this." "You didn't," I said. "But you're earning it." She sat down, clutching the envelope like it might vanish. Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. No words, just warmth. We spent the evening going over details. Insurance. Safety deposit boxes. Passwords. The unspoken truth threaded between every line. You left once. You don't get to again. At one point, she paused. "Do you think people can really change?" I looked at her, this woman who once called another stranger her father, who replaced us like a worn pair of shoes and expected them to stay laced tight while she danced with betrayal. And I said, "No. I think people decide to change. And then they prove it. One day at a time." She nodded slowly. That night, I heard her on the phone. Not laughing. Not crying. Just talking. Calm. Adult. She was calling a woman she'd hurt, a cousin she'd ghosted, a grandmother she'd ignored. One by one, stitching back the fabric she'd torn. The next morning, I found a note on the counter. Handwritten. "Don't make coffee. I already started the pot. Today's list. Sand the porch rail. Pick up wood stain. Call the VA for volunteer hours. Apologize to the man who used to call me his daughter. Earn the right to hear it again." I read it twice. Didn't smile. Didn't cry. Just poured myself a cup and got to work. Because inheritance isn't about what you leave behind. It's about what they choose to carry. In a small town, nobody forgets anything. They just file it away for later, like gossip Tupperware. And when she left, the whole neighborhood had front row seats to the fallout. Mrs. Caldwell next door? She saw her slam the car door that night and peel off like she was escaping Alcatraz. The Jenkins boys? Spread the story around like it was a campfire tale. And for 3 years, the only thing louder than the silence in our house was the whispers outside it. But lately, those whispers changed. It started with something small. I caught old man Harris, used to be my fishing buddy, nodding toward the driveway while I was taking out the trash. "That your girl helping with the siding last week?" he asked. I nodded. "She got your swing door rehung too?" "Yeah." He leaned on his cane. "Humph. Thought she was gone for good." "Me too," I said. "Turns out she's a little more stubborn than I gave her credit for." "She get that from you?" I didn't answer. Just walked back up the porch steps. But it didn't stop there. Next week, the hardware store clerk handed me 2 extra bundles of shingles. "What's this?" I asked. He smiled. "Your daughter called ahead. Said she's fixing the back shed this weekend. Figured she'd need more than she thinks." Apparently now people were watching her work the way they once watched her vanish. She wasn't just back. She was visible again. Even Mrs. Caldwell, who could cut a man down with a stare, waved one morning and said, "She's got your posture now. Head high. Chin level." "Maybe she finally found her spine," I replied. It was Saturday when I saw it happen. The moment it all turned. We were at the local diner. Us 3. Like nothing ever happened, only now there was this invisible trench between us and everyone else. They stared, like museum visitors wondering if this new exhibit was real or wax. Then the waitress, young thing who used to babysit for us, walked up and smiled. "It's good to see you again," she said to my daughter. "Your dad's been coming in for years. Kept your picture in his wallet the whole time." My daughter froze, eyes wide, and then turned to me. You kept my picture?" I didn't flinch. "Never gave up on the version of you that hadn't lied yet." She swallowed hard, nodded. That kind of nod where guilt isn't a burden, it's a shovel. She was still digging out of her own grave. When we got back home, she went straight to the attic and came down with a box I hadn't seen in years, her old notebooks, her college essays, stories she wrote in her teens where she made me the hero and the villain died in the first act. She sat on the porch and burned the ones that weren't true anymore. Page by page. Her mother joined her. No words. Just matches and silence and the crackle of fiction finally giving way to fact. I watched from the doorway. Not proud. Not vindicated. Just still. Because I wasn't building a daughter. I was watching her build herself. Later that night, A message came through my phone from a number I didn't recognize. She helped patch my roof today. Told me she's paying it forward. You did good, Rick. Took the long way, but she's getting there. I looked at the name. David Jenkins. The loudest of the gossip boys. Huh. I showed her the message. She read it. Smiled. But I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Don't let compliments replace progress." "I won't," she said. "But it's nice to know I'm not a ghost anymore." And for the first time, I believed her. It was stuffed between two books in the hall closet. Wedged deep, like someone wanted it hidden but not destroyed. I wasn't looking for it. I was just searching for an old flashlight. Instead, I found the envelope. My name on the front. No stamp. No return address. Just my name in her handwriting, a little crooked like always, like she never quite believed in cursive. I stared at it for a long time before I opened it. You ever feel the weight of something that shouldn't weigh anything? That envelope, paper and ink, felt like a brick. I opened it anyway. Dad, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't even know if I'll have the guts to give it to you. But if I don't say this somewhere, it'll kill me. I left you because I believed someone else when they said you weren't really mine. I let them rewrite the truth because the version they sold me made me feel like I didn't have to earn love. It would just show up, no matter what I did. You showed up. For 20 years. Through everything. And I traded that for someone who disappeared when I made my first mistake. You didn't disappear. You stayed gone because I pushed you out. And now I'm here, in a motel room that smells like mildew, wondering if anyone on this planet would still open the door if I knocked. I want to believe you would. But if you don't, I'll understand. Because for the first time in my life, I'm starting to understand what you actually gave me: consistency. The thing I always said I wanted, and then threw away like a spoiled child. If you're reading this, maybe there's still a chance. If not, at least I said it somewhere. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. But it's a start. I didn't move for a long time. Didn't cry. Didn't rage. Just stood there with that letter in my hand like it was some ancient artifact, proof that somewhere between leaving and returning, she had seen what she destroyed. Her mother found me sitting on the edge of the bed a half-hour later. "What's that?" I handed it to her. She read it. Sat beside me. Exhaled so slowly it felt like she was deflating. "She wrote this before she came back," I said. Her mother nodded. Maybe she was testing herself, seeing if she had the courage to admit what she did. "She did," I said. "Eventually." That night, I put the letter in the same drawer I'd once kept her baby teeth, a couple of ribbons from childhood races, and a drawing that once called me Superman with a backwards S. Only this time, it didn't feel like nostalgia. It felt like a receipt. Like proof that pain, properly harvested, could grow something useful. The next day, I didn't mention the letter. Not at breakfast. Not during chores. Not when we painted the side gate together, and she didn't complain once about the splinters or the heat. But when we sat down for dinner, I looked across the table at her and said, "Do you remember what you wrote in the letter you never gave me?" She froze. Eyes locked on mine. I didn't think you'd find it." "I did," I said. "And now you don't have to say it out loud. Because it's been said. And more importantly, it's being backed up." She nodded. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it. And I didn't look away. Because now we weren't trading apologies. We were trading accountability. The first Thanksgiving after she left, we didn't cook. Didn't thaw the turkey. Didn't bake the pies. Didn't even set the table. Her mother and I just sat on the couch eating canned soup, pretending the silence wasn't screaming. That empty chair at the head of the table? The one we used to tease her about, princess of the feast, it sat there like a funeral wreath. The second Thanksgiving, we gave her chair to Goodwill. Couldn't stand the sight of it. And now, here we were, year 3. She was home. But the chair wasn't. Funny how absence rearranges the furniture, even when people return. She came into the kitchen early that morning, hair tied up, flour on her cheek. She'd already started the pie crust. Rolled it by hand. "You're not using the pre-made stuff?" I asked, leaning against the counter. She smiled. "Thought I'd try doing things the hard way. Feels more honest." Her mother raised an eyebrow. "The cranberry sauce?" "Fresh," she replied. "From actual cranberries." I Googled it. We didn't say it, but we all felt it, the undercurrent of what this day meant. Her being here now wasn't a reset. It was a new chapter. Around noon, the first guest arrived, and Carla. The one who once told me, "She's gone for good, Rick. Don't hang your life on a ghost." Carla looked at her, blinked, and then said, "So, the ghost cooks now?" "Apparently," I muttered. "Good," Carla said. Let's hope she's better in the kitchen than she was at staying in people's lives. Everyone froze. I held my breath. But my daughter, God bless her, didn't flinch. She nodded. That's fair. Carla blinked. You're not going to argue? Nope, she said, stirring the gravy. You've earned your bitterness. I'm just hoping to earn something else. By 3 o'clock, the house was full. Cousins, friends, even the Jenkins boys, who finally stopped looking at her like she was radioactive and more like she might actually be human again. And that chair she used to sit in? Gone. So she pulled up a folding chair. No fuss. Didn't ask for the head of the table. Didn't act like she belonged. She acted like a guest who wanted to become family again. And somewhere in that meal, between the mashed potatoes and the clinking of glasses, I saw it. Not forgiveness, but something better. Respect earned, not assumed. Later that night, after everyone left, we were washing dishes together. She handed me a plate and asked, "Do you think I'll ever be able to sit in that seat again?" I dried the plate and looked at her. "No," I said, "because we don't need that seat anymore." She nodded slowly. "I'll pull up a new one," she said. "Good," I replied. "Make sure it's one you're willing to hold on to." And she smiled. Not wide, not victorious, but peaceful. Because this Thanksgiving wasn't about going back. It was about building forward. And that was enough. She came running down the stairs like a kid late for school. Hair half-brushed, socks mismatched, phone clutched in her hand like it might explode. "I got it," she yelled, eyes wide with disbelief. "They offered me the position." Her mother dropped the dishcloth mid-wipe. "You're serious?" "I'm serious. They want me to start Monday. Full-time. Admin assistant for the nonprofit downtown, the one that helps displaced youth." I didn't smile. "Not yet. Background check cleared?" I asked. She nodded. "References?" "Used the coordinator from my volunteer work at the VA." And she hesitated, and I listed Mom. I raised an eyebrow. "Not me. I didn't think you'd want me to," she admitted. I nodded slowly. "Good call." And that wasn't a dig. It was a fact. She knew her past came with consequences. But she didn't use her way back in as leverage. She earned this on her own sweat, and that meant something. Her mother rushed over, hugging her tight. There were tears, of course. Soft ones. Not the kind that beg for forgiveness, the kind that whisper hope might be real after all. I stood there a moment. Then I said, "What's the pay?" "Not much," she said. "But the mission's solid. And it's honest work." I crossed my arms. "That's what matters." She beamed. Later that evening, I caught her alone in the living room, scrolling through job onboarding emails and sipping coffee from a mug that used to say #1 Dad, back when she thought those words meant something permanent. "You're nervous," I said. "A little." "You should be," I added. "But not about the job." She looked at me. "You've been cleaning, cooking, fixing fences, volunteering, all good. But a job? That's different." "I know. It's where you learn if all this self-reflection sticks when the world stops coddling you." She nodded, quiet. "You're not just earning money now," I said. "You're earning credibility." And that, she understood. Monday came, and she was up before dawn. Dressed modest, makeup minimal, lunch packed. She looked like an adult. Not a runaway. Not a ghost. We stood by the door, her mother snapping pictures like it was the first day of kindergarten all over again. Before she left, she turned to me. "You gonna say anything?" she asked. I handed her a key. She stared at it, confused. "But I already have one." "This isn't for the house," I said. "It's for the shed." "The shed? Inside is your great-grandfather's old toolbox," I told her. "Your name's on it now." She blinked. "Why?" "Because tools don't belong to the people who admire them. They belong to the people who use them." She held it tight. Didn't say thank you. Didn't need to. That night, she came home exhausted. Feet sore. Eyes bright. She'd earned something today. And it showed. She placed her new office badge on the kitchen counter like it was a trophy. Her mother and I didn't throw a party. We didn't bake a cake. We just sat with her, handed her leftovers, and let her talk. Because sometimes, the best reward isn't praise. It's presence. She was finally building something from the ground up. With splinters, and setbacks, and sweat. And for the first time, I could see it. She wasn't becoming someone worth knowing. She already was.